say that there were people with religious inclinations who wanted to encourage people to do good deeds and to stay away from bad deeds. And so they invented hadith for the purpose. Hadith encouraging the doing of good deeds by promising great rewards for small deeds. And the contrary also, hadith promising tremendous punishment for very small misdeeds. So they say watch for these hadiths because they may not be genuine. They're just inventions by people. Along these lines, there are hadiths that give promised rewards for reciting certain portions of the Quran. And so you might have a hadith that says if you recite this passage of the Quran, you get such a great reward. That obviously was for the purpose of encouraging people to read the Quran. But you have, curiously, a hadith which to me will encourage people to not to read the Quran, because there's a hadith that says if you read the 112th chapter of the Quran, that one little chapter, which comprises only 4 verses, you get the reward as if you read the entire Quran, if you read that 3 times.
Awesome. Someone would just read that every day.
So obviously you read that, you don't have to read the rest of the Quran, you see. So it can have the opposite effect, and people have done things for good reasons, and some people may have done it for bad reasons, including, as we've seen, the political and women demeaning and so on. But more insidious than this, it is known that in the early Muslim communities, there were people who the Quran castigates as munafiqun, hypocrites. So a hypocrite could have actually invented anything because he is or she is not a genuine Muslim but passes off as a genuine Muslim within the society. They could relate anything for good or bad purposes, and then it's taken by a genuine Muslim on face value because we don't know what's in the heart of a person. Another category of people has been referred to as zindiq or the zanadiqa, people who again were not really Muslims but they are there passing off in the community. They could circulate misinformation in order to mislead others. This is very deliberate. And innocent Muslims would take that again at face value and circulate it as though it is genuine information. Moreover, sometimes Muslims themselves could have misconstrued certain actions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, and related his actions thinking that they're relating the truth based on their own observation, but they have made an inference which is incorrect, and they're passing off that inference as fact without realizing their own error.
So as you're talking, I'm thinking of, I remembered all hadith within all of those categories. Just briefly as we wrap up, when we look at hadith for now, there are terms like as-sahih and etc. So are there some terminology that the average Muslim right now can refer to say, okay, if I refer back and this is narrated by this, then it's valid. If it's not,
unfortunately, these labels do not give the final indication, though there are actually some indication. If a hadith is classified as mawdu, this means false, obviously it's rejected, and generally would not be found in the classical collections of hadith because the scholars have already done a lot of work to remove the most obviously fraudulent ones. Others have been castigated as weak or da'if. Obviously those are to be avoided. Then going up the scale, some are called hasan, which means good or sound. Even above that, there are some which are called sahih, which means authentic. But something authentic here means that it's absolutely true. It was actually said, or the thing reported actually happened. But that's not what it means. In hadith terminology, what it means in essence is that it's past certain scholarly verifications. One, that the scholars have seen that there is a connected chain of narrators and we trust the narrators, and 2, that they did not find any fault with the narrative. But the fact that they did not find any fault with the narrative does not mean that there is no fault with the narrative. We may find a fault later on based on empirical knowledge and so on. So one of the things that the scholars now advise us against is accepting a hadith that goes against empirical knowledge. You know something verifiably to be a fact, and then the hadith shows you the opposite. Well, somebody might say, well, if God says it, well, then I believe it regardless of what my eyes see. But in the case of hadith, it's not simply that God says it. It's that somebody is reporting that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said this. And it's not only somebody reporting that somebody reporting that somebody reporting that somebody is reporting that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said this. It's a long chain of narrators. Any one of them could have made a mistake along the way.
There's more to be said, but we'll leave this for our next episode on the series. So thank you very much, Dr.
You're welcome.
Hey YouTube, we hope you benefited from this video. If you liked it, or if you didn't, let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more, check out some of our other videos.
And don't forget to subscribe so you can get new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.